Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodholt. There's an old joke about the man who all his life had been a faithful churchgoer, but when he reached the age of 97, suddenly he never attended worship. The pastor grew concerned at this odd behavior, and so he called on the man. When the pastor asked for an explanation, the man answered, "Well, Pastor, at my age it seems like God has forgotten me, and I don't want to remind him." So we continue our journey through the story of Elijah. Today we come to an unusual part of the story. You may remember that yesterday Elijah had come to the town of Zarephath and asked a widow who lived there to take him in and provide room and board for him. Sure enough, she had an upper chamber she wasn't using and let Elijah stay there, and while he was there her meal and oil to make bread never ran out in spite of the drought. But then the woman's son dies, and she blamed Elijah. She said it was all Elijah's fault because he was a man of God, and because he was in her house, God had taken notice of her and her sins, resulting in the death of her son. She understood that because of Elijah, God had come near, and next to Elijah, she didn't look so good. And she believed that if Elijah hadn't been there, God would have taken no notice of her and forgotten her. Now, she has some pretty bad theology there. I don't believe that her son died because of her sins. God doesn't punish others to teach us a lesson. But at the same time, maybe she's on to a little something about what happens when God draws near. I'm not sure that most of us really think about God being near to us always. We might search for God and feel God near in our times of crisis or need, but most times, the good times, the everyday going about life, God is in the back of our minds at best. And I have to wonder how our words and actions would change if we really thought God was near to us in all times. Let me give a silly example. Sometimes I'm in a group of people and someone is talking, and without thinking, they perhaps use a profanity. Then suddenly they realize what they said and look at me as a pastor and apologize. Now, I understand, and I don't make any deal out of it, and the conversation resumes, but it's embarrassing for the person and a little bit for me too. And then there's part of me that wants to ask, if saying that word is wrong when I'm around, isn't it just as wrong when I'm not around? Isn't God around to hear it even when I'm not? Now again, that's a silly example, but the point is that God is with us always. And even more, we are called to represent God wherever we are and however we live. It can be a fearsome thing when God draws near. The widow at Zarephath knew that. The best news is that a few centuries later, God came near to us in a whole new way. God came in Jesus, became one of us, understands us, and forgives us. Back in Zarephath, Elijah took the boy to his chamber, prayed, and the boy's life was restored to him. God come near doesn't lead to death. God come near leads to life. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.